Welcome back to the ETF Inspector. It's Thursday, October 16th, a little after 8 o'clock at night, and this is our daily recap video for our YieldMax weekly paying funds, Ulty, the Ultra Option Income Strategy Fund, SLTY, the Ultra Short Option Income Strategy Fund, and Lfgy, the Crypto Industry Option Income Fund. A reminder, I'm on X at ETF_Inspector1. I post all things related to the ETFs I cover and the videos that I make. In case a lot of people say that the YouTube notifications are a little slow, I'd ask that you'd please still click on the notifications when you subscribe, because that actually tells YouTube that you like my channel and that they should suggest it to more people. But if you follow on X, the post comes out right away letting you know, along with a link as well. So then that way you're not behind if you're trying to make that premier live chat that a lot of people like to talk in. All right, before I get started, I've got thank yous, big time shout outs for some people from last night's video. So we got 3 of them. We'll just go down the line. I did post them all on X here, but everybody went to Buy Me a Coffee. It's a neat little website that allows you to support creators and things like that. So I do appreciate people giving through that, because they keep a smaller fee than YouTube does. So that is appreciated. But Damian Waller, first up, gave $25, said, "Love what you do. I'm learning what I can. Thank you." So thank you very much, Damian. Very generous. Anytime anybody gives, I appreciate it. New York Trader said, "Love the work you do. I've learned a lot from your videos. Still holding a bunch of Ulty, me too, but added many Roundhill ETFs." So thank you, New York Trader. They gave $10, so thank you for that. And then Toxic J said, "Here's October's consulting fee. Pin that for taxes." Toxic J just took the new record. He smashed the old record by double, and gave $200 in last night's video. So that was absolutely crazy. Don't even know what to say. So just thank you guys all so much for your generosity. All right, and then one other thing before we get started in the video, I did make an announcement. I put it on X and I made a post on YouTube. Next week, I'm going to be starting detailed video coverage of the daily trades and holdings for Coney, Misty, NVIDIA, and Tesla. Call it the $1 billion club. I did speak with Rod. We are friends. We were talking back and forth a lot today, because I didn't want to step on his toes, but he is moving away from the detailed coverage on those, the day-to-day, every single trade and holding. And so he was okay with me starting that. So definitely excited for that. I've been working on it on my old monthlies, obviously. So here we've already started downloading. Here's just today's MSTRs or Misty trades. So no point in starting late in a week. So we'll just start it next week. But so stay tuned for that. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at how the market performed. Feel like I'm already behind. 4-minute intro here. It was an ugly day for sure. Or if you like buying things on sale, then it was a buying shopping spree. But Ulty down 1.69%. And realistically, at one point, they were up. So that just what an ugly day. I was extremely busy with work, so I have absolutely no idea what happened in the market today to cause all this red. If I had to guess, I'd say some sort of tariff news or something like that, based on how much the whole market's affected. But I'm just guessing for sure. Next, we got Lfgy. They were down even worse, 2.8%. I know crypto was struggling today. I did hear that they were down pre-market, but that one hurts as well. Let's take a look. For the month, we're actually still up on Lfgy. So although it hurts, it's not terrible. And then SLTY, if everything's down, SLTY should be going up. And it was, but not nearly to the degree that everything was going down. 0.5%, a little bit more. So we'll take a look at that. And everything that they hold within the funds as we go through our spreadsheets. We'll start with Ulty first, everyone's favorite, or at least mine, so that's what matters. But trades, right off the bat, we got some odd things here. Just one, really. But so CoreWeave and Symbiotic, they just trimmed their positions. They did not sell completely out of either of them, just selling some shares. And then 27 million and 37 million on those. But Galaxy Digital, they sold 100 shares. The thing is, they didn't have 100 shares. So it's odd that didn't come up as SS for sold short. So it really stood out, didn't make sense. And we're going to have negative 100 shares on the spreadsheet tomorrow. We'll probably end up buying to close them. It seems like it was maybe an accident, or I don't know. But so not that it matters. In a $3 billion fund, we won't even notice it. But to go along with that, we sold 100 shares of Galaxy, and we also sold a put on Galaxy. But we didn't own a put. It didn't come up as sold short. Who knows what's going on here. But they collected $14. All right, so let's get back to the normal stuff. Being that it's Thursday, for the most part, we're going to do a whole lot of closing of the collar strategy for this week and rolling it to next week. That's what the orange means if we had a complete position, close and roll. So Affirm Holdings rolling to next week brought in a credit of $840,000. Bitmine Immersion, same thing, out to next week, $1.2 million credit. Centene Corp, this is the one of our just put spreads. We don't, it's not a collar strategy. We don't own shares. So the roll to next week cost us $1.4 million. So that means obviously Centene closed down in the money. Coinbase, we're rolling to next week, $1.5 million credit. CoreWeave, this is just closing the options that went along with the shares that we sold, so it's not a complete change out, but it was $1 million debit. Figma, closing and rolling to next week, brought in a credit of $7.5 million. We already talked about that odd Galaxy trade. Hims and Hers cost us $5.3 million on the roll to next week. Robinhood brought in $1 million rolling to next week. Lucid was a credit of $1.1 million on the roll to next week. Lululemon cost us almost $1 million, $960,000 rolling out to next week. And that is another one of those put spreads, no shares. So again, obviously ugly day, market down. We're going to pay to close those puts. MP Material Corp, that was a nice one. $9.8 million credit rolling to next week. One of them in here somewhere. Yeah, Pony is not to next week. MicroStrategy, or Strategy now, closing and rolling to next week, resulted in a $1.7 million credit. Pony, we closed and rolled to tomorrow and still brought in a credit of $170,000. So they just brought the strike price down. Quantum Computing, $4.1 million credit on the roll to next week. Rigetti brought in almost $5 million, 4.98 on the roll to next week. And SMR, New Scale Power, cost us $12.3 million. There went a bunch of our profits. They're rolled to next week. And then Symbiotic is just closing out the options associated with the shares that we closed out up top. That we sold up top. So that cost $280,000. So all in all, on the trading day, we had a credit or surplus or profit of almost $12.9 million. That's going to go along with a very ugly $161 million decrease in the value of the shares within the fund. All right, let's take a look at how the holdings performed within the fund. Affirm was down about 5.5%. All the positions were closed and rolled. So these orange line up with the orange we just talked about. So anything that we closed and rolled on the last page will be blanked out. Not blanked out, but orange here. Bitmine Immersion down 5%. Rolled what was left for this week, and we already have some calls at 55 for next week, 7.6% out of the money. Because of the way the website changed and the download has changed, my cash and other shows up here now. I've been moving it for the past few days back to the bottom, but I'm tired of adding lines and deleting lines. I'm just going to keep the cash, in its alphabetical order, which is the new style. Well, the new style is not in any kind of order, so then the only thing I can do is sort it into alphabetical order. That's what's putting cash up here. So there's 71 million in cash. We usually talk about that when we talk about our government obligation funds. 445 million there. Totals up to 516 million total. Sometimes we call it dry powder. I know it's not necessarily. Cypher mining down almost 11%, 17.5% out of the money on their $22 calls that have already been rolled. Centene Corp, we just talked about it. They were down and they rolled them out to next week. Coinbase was down 1.8%. They took the win on their furthest out of the money positions. Still have calls at 350 expiring tomorrow, just about 6% out of the money. So looking like we'll win all the trades for coin. CoreWeave was the big winner, and that's scary to say. 1.8%. Actually, they were the only winner. 1.8% increase. They've got 143s and 144s expiring tomorrow. This is kind of how we like it. If they move up but end just out of the money, that's kind of the Goldilocks scenario where we make the most on both sides. But 143s and 144s, 0.8 and 1.5% out. Figma was down 9.5%. Positions were closed and rolled. Galaxy, we did have a trade on Galaxy, but that was that odd one that didn't make any sense. But in any case, at 39.91, their puts expiring tomorrow at 39.50 are 1% out of the money. So as long as it doesn't drop 1% tomorrow, we'll close them out for a win. Hims and Hers down 5.75%. So what do? We closed out the sold puts that were way out, and then the same 10,000 to go along with the purchase puts and the sold calls at 56. So we do still have $56 calls in the money, 10,000 left, 5.3% in the money. We've got $60 calls sold that are 1.4% out of the money, all expiring tomorrow, along with puts that we sold at 42 that are almost 30% out. Robinhood was down 2+%. Positions left for this week got rolled. They do have 140s already out till next week at 6.5% out. Hut 8 Corp down 9.5%. Calls expiring tomorrow at 48 are actually still in the money by 1.6%. That's odd. Did Hut 8 Corp, were they one that went wild the other day? Why can't I find them? They're down in Lfgy's category. Yeah, must be. Okay. So we're So although we're wasting time talking about it. We've got $1 million in them with an average of like 150 million in most funds. So this really makes not much of a difference. Iron Limited down 9%. $66 calls expiring tomorrow, 6.7% out of the money. $72 calls rolled to next week are 16+% out. Lucid Internet Group was down 5.25. Everything rolled. They obviously won that trade. Lululemon, the put spread got rolled as well. It was in the money. It cost us. MP Materials Corp down 6.7%. Everything was rolled. MicroStrategy or Strategy down 4.3%. What was left for this week got rolled, and we already have 305s out to next week, 7.5% out of the money. Palantir has already been rolled to next week. $185 calls are 3.8% out after the 0.8% decrease. Pony AI was down 3.75. They took the win on the further out of the money position. This was one of the ones where they sold this till tomorrow. So just adjusted the strike price down to collect a little bit more on the way out. 2150s are also in play, 5.3% out of the money. Quantum computing down 11.7%. Closed out the further out of the money positions. They still have 21s expiring tomorrow, 12% out of the money. Rigetti was the big loser today, down 14.8%. That they were actually way in the money, so that brought these 49s and 50s to 2 and 4% out now. $30 million hit to the share values, and they did roll the furthest out of the money positions. Rocket Lab was down a little over 3.25. $70 calls expiring tomorrow are about 4.5% out. Rocket Companies was down just over 1%. They got calls and puts expiring tomorrow. $17.50 on the call, 5.7% out. $14 puts, 15% out. New Scale Power was down almost 11%. Even with that, they still ended in the money by 3.4%. So they closed them and rolled them. Kind of surprising. I wonder if maybe they did that early in the day. But 49s are still in play for tomorrow, 2.8% out of the money. And 55s have already been rolled to next week, 15.5% out. Soundhound down just under 3%. $22 calls expiring tomorrow are about 6% out. $22.50 calls for next week, 8.3% out of the money. Symbotic was down 4.2%. They have 71s and 77s sold. The 71s are in the money by 1.6, and the 77s are out of the money by 6.6. And last but not least, Upstart down 6.43. They've been struggling for sure. They're down like $20 from their high. Well, not their high. Their recent high. We don't want to talk about Upstart. ETF inspector bought them back at there. I bought more along the way afterwards, but 6.4% decrease. Got their $55 calls, 15% out of the money, and their $42 puts, 12% out. So that is how we had a $161 million decrease in the share values within the fund. At the start of the day, our assets under management was $3.3 billion. We did have people buy into the fund yesterday, 900,000 new shares, bringing us up to 628,750,000 outstanding shares. It will be interesting when the next download comes out to find out if people took advantage of the low price today or if people started panic selling. But the NAV at the start of the day, 535, so that was a painful drop. We got 9. Today was payday. I keep forgetting that I don't forget too much because I already spent the money on more Ulty. But Thursday is the new payday for these funds that are covered in this video. So we got 9.08 cents per share on that one. All right. So obviously Ulty has the most in it. So it takes the longest. We'll get through these a little quicker. Next, we're on Lfgy. No shares exchanged, so we're just closing and rolling options. And Lfgy likes to trade a lot of options, sometimes in very small increments, so we don't sit there and go through those line by line. We only check out the complete closures. So Bitmine Immersion's the first one, roll into next week, brought in 105,000. Next, we got iShares Ethereum Trust ETF with just under $90,000 credit on their roll to next week. GameStop brought in $67,000, rolling their positions to next week. Mercado Libre, $61,000 on the roll. MicroStrategy, $157,000 on their roll. These are credits, by the way. And that was it for the complete changeouts. It resulted overall, all of them combined, for a $513,000 credit. So far, we've got 1 day of no trades and 3 days of making profits on their options trading. And although today hurt, $10.6 million hit to the share values, we're actually still in the positive for share value increases over the course of the week as well. So we got one more day to finish all that out. But that's actually surprising. So that should mean that we should not be We shouldn't be down for the week. I mean, technically 58 cents came out of that, so we would be like 37, 34. But we shouldn't be down if over the course of the week we've brought in a profit trading and increased in our share values. So we'll see how the dust settles tomorrow before we start thinking something's odd going on. All right, when we look at the holdings, Bitmine Immersion was down 5%. All positions rolled. BitDeer down just a small fraction. Would they go down 2 cents? They expire tomorrow. 0.4% out of the money. We love it. That's a perfect spot. But as you can see, right, they at the start of the day, they were going to cost $1.30 per share to close out, when technically if they ended like this tomorrow, they'd be worthless. So we'd be able to close them out for pennies. So we want them to sit right there tomorrow. Cash, we got 2.1 million. First American government obligation funds, 400,000. So definitely not a lot of dry powder over here. Clean Spark, the big loser today, down 13.8%. 19.99. Calls are sold at 23.50, 17.5% out. They have already been rolled. They have not already been rolled. They expire tomorrow. Coinbase down 1.8%. I did forget to mention, but if you've been watching the video, you already know. They don't do a collar strategy over here. We're not buying protective puts in Lfgy, just selling calls. All right, Coinbase, 362.50 on the sold calls, 9.7% out, expiring next week. They've already been rolled. Core Scientifics still in play this week. $19 calls are 3.4% in the money, even after today's 1.3% drop. They've also got some calls rolled to next week at 22.50, 14+% out. Circle Internet Group down almost 4.5%. 145s are at 12.8% out of the money. iShares Ethereum Trust ETF down 3%. Everything was rolled. Galaxy down 4.7%. $43 calls expiring tomorrow are 7.7% out. GameStop was down 1.8% today. Everything was rolled. Excuse me. Man, I was sick like 2 weeks ago, and now I just have this annoying cough. Robinhood Markets down 2%. $140 calls are 6.5% out of the money. They have already been rolled to next week. Hut 8 Corp down 9.5%. 54s expiring tomorrow are 10+% out. iShares Bitcoin Trust down 2 3/4. They've just been on a horrible week. 61. I think they started the week or close to 71. Yeah, they started the week at 69, and in the previous week they were over 71. Mara was down 11.27%. Calls rolled. Sorry, I'm trying to not the cough. My voice sounds funny. Already rolled the next week. 23.50s are 16% out. MBTX has already rolled their call spread, and 270s are 5.5% out of the money. These puts at 255 expiring at the end of the year are going to start looking good here with the closing price at 255. So that was as of the start today, $6.1 million value. Obviously, with it dropping, these puts will become more valuable. So they may end up winning this trade after all. Mercado Libre down 0.25%. Positions were rolled. Same with Strategy. Everything got rolled after a 4.3% drop. NU Holdings down almost 3%. Brought these 15s back out of the money by 1.8%. They expire tomorrow. NVIDIA, these have already been rolled the next week, and they are very close to the money. They were the big winner today, up 1.1%. $182.50 calls are 0.3% out of the money. Opera down just a fraction, 1 penny. They've got 1750s and 18s. The 1750s expire tomorrow, 6.9% out. Very small position. The 18s are already rolled to next month, the 21st, 10% out of the money. PayPal Holdings, 2.84% decrease, leaves their $70 calls just about 6% out of the money. Already been rolled to next week. Right, platforms dropped 11.6%. That hurts a lot. 2250s expiring tomorrow are 15% out of the money. And Block down just over 2%. They've got calls sold at 79 that are around 6% out of the money expiring tomorrow. So that is how we had a $10+ million decrease in the value of the shares within the fund. Again, that's not directly, okay, $10 million off the assets under management, because that will also change the value of every single option. And in this case, it's going to decrease the cost to close out a whole lot of these calls by a larger percentage than what it's going to decrease the value of the long calls. So we wouldn't have necessarily taken the full $10.7 million hit. No changes yesterday in shares, 5.8 million. Assets under management at the start, just under 219 million. So we're doing well. Felt like it took forever to break 200 million, but we seem to be holding strong over top of it. Let's see, our NAV started at 37.75 before we got beat up today. And today was payday, so we received our 58.31 cents per share. Now, if you watch my Saturday videos, you don't see Lfgy because it's in my 401k, but I will soon be adding it to my trading account. Once I got a large sum of money coming where I cashed out a pension from my old job, and I'm going to use it to invest in a bunch of these high yield funds and start paying my bills. So I will share that journey with you as it goes. I like the idea. It's kind of want to use these funds for what they're meant for, income. They're not meant to, long term. Not to say you can't hold it long term, but like long term growth, like in your 401k. These are meant for generating some income. All right, last and least, SLTY. All right, so SLTY, as you noticed, we're closing out of Astera Labs, Bloom Energy, and Duolingo. And then they started shorting IonQ and Reddit. So with Astera Labs, they're going to close out their options since they are no longer within them. That cost $18,000. Bloom Energy, same thing. That actually brought in a profit of $178,000 because Bloom went up. That made their protective calls, because we're shorting and everything's reversed. So you buy protective calls. They were worth lots of money. There's what the credit came from. Circle Internet Group, closing and rolling to next week, cost $77,000. Duolingo, this is closing everything out because we closed out our shares. $20,000 cost. IonQ, just started shorting them, so then selling the reverse collar strategy brought in $18,000. Kratos, I think it's called. Defense and security, rolling to next week, cost $68,000. And Reddit just shorted some new shares, so we're going to start the reverse collar strategy, bringing in $19,000. So all in all, it was a profitable trading day of $32,000. They are profitable on the week so far as realized gains and losses from options. That does not take into account shares, so they're probably getting beat up pretty bad on shares. It's going to go along with a $252,000 increase in the value of the shares. So that's what's rough, right? There was a big up day on Monday, and it hit the share values by $1 million. Then there was a big down day today, and it only helped by $252,000. So here's the kicker. There was more underlyings that went up in SLTY, the fund that's shorting everything, than in Ulty and Lfgy combined. So we're not doing a wonderful job at picking things to go down. All right, so right off the bat, Astera Labs sold all the shares, got out of them, or actually bought all the shares to get out of them because we had already sold them. Closed out the options. AMD down 1.6%. Puts expiring tomorrow. 225 are 4% out, and calls are 275 are 17%. I should mention here, I did say in my posts, I'm going to be adding some of the major single ticker funds from YieldMax in their own video, and I got to get some time back. So SLTY is going to pay the price, and most likely the Roundhill Funds video. I will still, what I'm going to switch over to is I'm just going to show you what they're shorting and where their positions, what their strike prices are moving forward. That way you're still getting some information on SLTY. You still get a good idea of what they have a negative feeling about, but I'm going to stop with all the calculations and all the upkeep and color coding and percentages. Okay, AST Space Mobile down 6.5%. That took these $90 puts into the money by 0.5%. They expire tomorrow, along with these calls they sold at 110, 22.9% out. Bloom Energy closed out all their shares and options. BitDeer Technology down just a fraction, 0.08% or 2 cents. Puts are expiring tomorrow at 25, 3.4% out. $30 calls are 15.9% out. Circle Internet Group down almost 4.5%. Everything closed and rolled. Duolingo, everything closed and just closed out completely. Don't own Duolingo anymore. Don't have any options. Enphase Energy up 0.05%. What's that come out to? 2 cents. And $36.50 puts expiring tomorrow are 2.8% out of the money. GitLab, the big winner today, which hurts. They went up 10.6%, so that dropped the value by 115,000. And they were really close to the money, so now they're almost 10% out with those 43.50s, and they're kind of right in the middle because those $53 calls are also almost 10% out. Kratos Defense and Security down 2.16%. Everything closed and rolled the next week. Lemonade, the big loser, down 9.3%, so that helped the value since they're shorting them. Unfortunately, that did take their puts into the money by 5% at $50. They expire tomorrow. Nebius Group down 2.22%, leaving them 2% in the money with $126 on the put strike price expiring tomorrow. That was a lot of twos. RH down 0.2%. Puts expiring tomorrow at 177.50 are 0.75% in the money, and $220 calls are 25 almost percent out. Tesla down 1.5%, still 1.5 to go on those 422.50s expiring tomorrow, and United Airlines down 5.6%. That actually took next week's $100 puts into the money by 1.8%. So that is how we had a $253,000 increase in the value of the shares within the fund. Assets under management at the start, 17.2 million, 450,000 outstanding shares. NAV was 38.23 before increasing throughout the day. And if you own SLTY, you got your 46.1 cents per share payout today. All right, that was a whole lot. I did forget to tell you right from the start, I got a pretty good dad joke for you today. So hopefully you stuck around for it. And so again, just thank you everybody for all the support, likes, shares, comments. I get absolutely tons and tons of comments. I get like a weekly report out by YouTube that just kind of puts numbers on all that kind of stuff. It's very cool. So thank you all. And here's your dad joke of the day. Who was the fattest knight at King Arthur's Round Table? Well, that would be Circumference. All right, have a good night. Good luck trading tomorrow. And don't forget, tomorrow's Friday, so if you got things expiring, you're going to need to handle them, close them out, or roll them options-wise. And I'll catch you in the next video.